Okay, here's my gas grill. This is a 5 burner model with a rear burner. This is from Lowe's a few years ago. I cook directly on metal on a screen. So I'll put a piece of metal down and that really will transfer the heat. And remember, we have a thermodynamics problem here. If you have a lot of heat, you don't need much mass. If you don't have much heat, you need a lot of mass to heat the whole thing up, and it may take quite a while. So I use these fire bricks that I've got at Tractor Supply. And I'll just line these up. Then I'll put these 2 aluminum clips on here, which will prevent these from rocking. If you use the thicker fire bricks, you probably don't have to do this. And this is just a precaution so the thing doesn't fall over. And then I've got another piece of metal on top. And then a pizza stone. Okay, on the pizza dough, here's what I do. I make up big batches and put them in these containers that's frozen. And I'll pop this out. And I'll put it in a little bowl with some spray oil. And then I'll let it thaw. And it may take hours to do this, and I'll cover it up so it doesn't lose any moisture. So we'll let this sit. This is about an 11-ounce ball of dough. It's 70% hydration, which means that there's a pound of flour. There's 70% of that's water. That's about 11.2 ounces. And I have a little kitchen scale to weigh it on. And it's okay. Here it is now, about 6 hours later, and here's Mr. Doughball. And we can see he's really risen, and he's nice and puffy. So we'll put some flour down. We'll take him out. And he comes out nice and easy because we put spray oil down. So there's lots of different ways to do this. This is sort of the way I like to do it. So you can see the bubbles here. That's 70% hydration. Really means it's 41% water. So this has got a high water content, which means it's really going to bubble up nicely on the crust. So what I like to do is just sort of hold it in the air and let its own weight stretch it. This is King Arthur bread flour. A few minutes, and now we can pick it up and stretch it some more. Allowing it to rest allows the gluten to relax, and it'll be much easier to stretch. And you can see this is pretty thin. Also said before, I like to use the pizza screen. It eliminates all the excitement of getting the pie into the oven. If you use a peel with cornmeal or semolina, that works great too, but sometimes when you have a lot of heavy toppings and they're moist, the dough will melt, will be dissolved by the liquids, and you can't get the darn thing off the peel. So this sort of makes it a little less exciting. So we'll put this on here and just stretch it a bit. I'm only going to cook it long enough so that I can get it off the peel and get it onto the stone out there without the peel. And the mesh, actually, I like the mesh better than the solid aluminum pans that are, even Teflon coated, because they seem to trap steam, and this lets the steam out, which is really good. So that you get a nice crispy crust on the bottom. Okay, I said before that this was 11 ounces, should get a 13-inch pizza, and that's just what it is. It's 13 inches over here. So let's put on some, so I'm going to make a pizza margherita today, and it's just tomato sauce and cheese. And when we get through, we'll let it cool a bit, and then we'll put some fresh basil on here. And the reason you let it cool a bit is if you put the basil on when the pie is just out of the oven, the basil is going to turn black. Here's $3.99, 400, $3.82, $3.83. And at the back here, $6.90, $7.40, $7.16, $7.28. So it's $700 to get them in there. See, it's nice. Okay, it's been on the bottom for 2 minutes, and you can see how nice it's sort of crusted up here. Now what I'm going to do is just shake this screen to get it off the screen, and then I'll let it stay directly on this pizza peel. Wonderful, no excitement. And now that the crust has set and I could get it off the screen, I put it back on the bottom where the heat transfer from the aluminum is just incredible. So I'm just going to let that crisp up on the bottom, and maybe we can see a little bit how the bottom looks. You can see there it's getting like the old leopard spots in there. I hope you can see that. Bottom, near the back infrared burner to crisp it up a bit and get a little char on it, and we're in pretty good shape. So this baby is done. Put it on. I like to put it back on the screen so it'll breathe a little bit, and the crust won't get soggy. It'll stay crisp. Okay, so here's Mr. Pizza, and he's cooled down a bit, so now I can put this basil on, and it won't turn black. If you put it on when it's screaming hot out of the oven, it's going to turn black, and it's just going to be unappetizing. So there we go. And you can see this crust here, I believe, where you can hear it's actually crunchy. And the bottom, I'll lower this camera, and the bottom is nicely charred too. So there we go, pizza on a gas barbecue grill.